Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What is going on, gang? Welcome to Recliner Sports. This is Habs After Dark. My name is Devin, and we're live on the air, guys. We're going to have a chat here about the Canadiens and the Utah Hockey Club. Sorry, guys. It looks like there's a bit of an issue here with my graphic, and I just have to fix it. There it is. I think that's fixed. There we go. Montreal Canadiens, Utah Hockey Club, 5-3 final in Utah. What do we think about that win, guys? It was an interesting one. I got a few thoughts to share with you guys about it. I think you guys can probably guess what the first one is. If you guys have been here before, you probably know where I'm going to go right off the bat. First of all, we see Claude Richard is here. RDP is here. Smash that like. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Frank says, good win, but that hat you were wearing is the wrong one. Where is that nice Habs hat? You have to get into hockey, not baseball. Okay. Appreciate the feedback, Frank. I am wearing a LA Dodgers hat tonight. I have a number of different hats that I like to wear, and this is the one I chose for tonight. I usually try and continue to wear the same hat every night as long as the Canadiens continue to win. They're coming off a loss, so I felt free to wear whatever hat I wanted to tonight. So welcome, Claude. Welcome, RDP. Welcome, Frank. I see that we have a few people here in the live right now. We have 6 people watching. I know it's late at night. This is a late version. You got it, Frank. You got it, Frank Knox. Yeah, it's a late one for me, guys. It's already 1 o'clock in the morning here in Halifax, so the game has just ended. We're going to have a chat about the game. If you guys have any comments, feel free to fire away. Hopefully we can get some people here to join us on the show. If you're over there on TikTok, come on over here. Austin has a question. I see Zach is asking questions. All you got to do, guys, is come over to TikTok and join Recliner Sports 4. We will be happy to have you, and we would love to have a chat with you guys. So the Canadiens win 5-3. The first place I'm going in my takeaways, Frank Knox called it. Fuck the refs. This is a disaster. Brandon Blandina, I don't know. So one of the things that I do when I take my notes every night before the game is I go onto the Scouting the Refs website and I find out who the referees are going to be. That way I always know who is going to be calling the game. And what it does is it kind of gives me an idea of how the different refs referee the game. And what I'm coming to find out is that Brandon Blandina is one of the worst in the league. He's not a good referee. He doesn't manage a game well. He doesn't call the game consistently. Tonight he was very much against the Montreal Canadiens. It's not always the case. But again, tonight he was very much against the Montreal Canadiens. We saw right away in the first period, Michael Pezzetta gets called for penalty. Jack McBain jams his stick, basically pitchforks Pezzetta. Pezzetta goes down with McBain's stick stuck between his legs, and Pezzetta gets the penalty for holding the stick. Like an absolutely ridiculous call. On the ensuing power play, Jake Evans has his skates taken out completely out from under him. He's tripped like as obvious a trip as you'll ever see in the NHL. No call, right? They ignore it. Whatever. Okay, that's okay. But then about 15 seconds later, Mike Matheson with a much less obvious trip in front of the net, already down by a man, and the referee, Blandina's arm goes straight up. And he's making the call right away. It just absolutely terrible reffing all along. The Canadiens, I believe, had 4 consecutive penalties called against them in the first period. It certainly, had a huge impact on the game. It had a huge impact on the first period for sure. The domination. I joked in a Blue Sky post that the Canadiens would be the first team ever in the NHL to dominate a period of hockey while getting outshot 14-1. They were being outshot 14-1. But they were tied at 1 and had a chance to go up 2-1. There was that power play where Josh Anderson missed it's late, guys. Josh Anderson had a clear breakaway, and the pass came to him, and he couldn't corral it. Then Jake Evans came in on a 2-on-1, and where he typically is very effective, and basically completely fanned on the shot. And then about 10 seconds after that, he got a near breakaway again. So the joke was that the Canadiens were kind of dominating that first period, despite the fact that all the statistics were in favor of Utah, largely because of the calls from the referee. I just, again, Brandon Blandina is quickly jumping to the top of the list as the worst referee in the NHL, and that's the first place I'm going. Again, getting back to what we talked about last game, weathering the storm, right? They come out and, the referees are what they are, but again, you have to, whether you like the refs or whether you don't like the refs, you still have to live with them. And, if they're going to give the other team 4 power plays, you have to weather that storm. And the Canadiens did so. They came out of that first period. They were down 2-1. It could have very easily been 1-1 if it wasn't for that late goal from Bukestad. But again, they weathered that storm. The goaltending in particular was really, really good. I thought Montembeault really did a good job keeping them in the game in that first period, minimizing the damage. Strong penalty kill, right? It could have, without a strong penalty kill, that first period could have been a disaster and could have put the game out of touch. I'm live, Austin, on YouTube. Come over to YouTube. The channel is called Recliner Sports 4. Come on and join us over here. Anybody over there on TikTok, come on over and join us over here. What's up, Entertap? What's up, Asim? What's up, Frank? Larry, welcome. So those are the horrible refereeing, weathering the storm. Those are my first 2 sort of takeaways. Obviously, weathering the storm is a winning habit. Taking advantage of the opportunities that are giving to you, that's another winning habit. I thought tonight the Canadiens maybe didn't quite do that well. I think they had the opportunity to score goals early on, even in the first period, late in the first period, and certainly through the second period that they didn't take advantage of. Vejmelka, however you say his name, he is not a good goalie, and he was not playing well tonight. The opportunities were there. I mean, there were 3 or 4 posts. Poor Alex Newhook, could have had 3 or 4 goals tonight. Just couldn't convert. There are going to be games where that is going to bite you in the ass if you don't take advantage of those opportunities. And fortunately for them tonight, it didn't. Utah was not a very strong team. They're not a very strong team. They certainly weren't tonight. And Montreal was able to win despite not taking advantage of their opportunities. But again, that's something they're going to have to start doing, right? They're going to have to start burying those chances a little bit more often. Frankly, if it, they could have had a significant lead coming out of that second period, but they let Utah hang on. But again, they certainly were the better team in the third period as far as, scoring was concerned. Winning when things aren't going your own way. So we've already talked about, the referees. We've talked about weathering the storm. We've talked about, being a little bit snake bitten. Sometimes you don't always score on your opportunities. You don't take advantage of, scoring when you get your opportunities. But, sometimes you need to win games where things aren't going your way. And that's another winning habit, right? Teams that win a lot of games win games sometimes when the cards aren't sort of falling in their favor. They're able to pull off a victory, even though, you might argue that they didn't deserve it. Now tonight, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think I would go as far as to say that the Canadiens didn't deserve it, but certainly a lot of things didn't go their way tonight, and they managed to pull off a pretty convincing victory despite that. And tonight, it was quite clear to me that they were the better hockey team on the ice, and they were certainly the more veteran, the more poised, the more experienced team, the more ready to win team between Utah and Montreal tonight, right? And so Utah is a team that's in a similar spot with Montreal as far as the stage of their development goes, and certainly tonight they demonstrated that they're in a better spot than Utah is. And the last point I wanted to make is that, and I just touched on it a second ago, Alex Newhook, right? a lot of people will say that, Alex Newhook, oh, he should have scored 3 goals tonight. He's terrible, or he's this, or he's that. To me, it's a good sign. For a guy like Alex Newhook to be getting those kinds of opportunities and just not being able to finish, I think is a good sign, because if he continues to get those opportunities, he'll eventually, it'll eventually click for him. We saw it with Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach was kind of snake bit there for a few games in, early December. And then finally, the puck went in the net for him a couple times, and now you're seeing he's starting to get his groove back and whatever. And I think, that combined with, how well how well Alex Newhook played otherwise tonight, I think is a really good sign that he's getting ready to break out of whatever slump or whatever you want to call it that he's in. So let's get to the comments here real quickly. Asim says, Pizzetta, do you think he should be replaced? I don't, Asim. I think he's fine. He's playing his role. He's the 13th forward. He's the extra guy. He's the guy who comes in when somebody gets hurt or somebody needs to be replaced. Obviously it's not ideal for him that he's, only playing once in a while. He went for nearly 2 months there without playing a single game. He's obviously going to struggle, but at this point, the Canadiens have him basically on the bench in case they need somebody. I don't know what his minutes were tonight. His minutes tonight were, we can check that relatively easily and quickly. Pizzetta played only 3 minutes and 50 seconds tonight. So again, he comes into the game, he plays early on, he gets a few shifts. I think the coaching staff recognizes that he's not really ready to be out there for, significant time on the ice, but, it's nice to have him there in case you need him. And, certainly that first period didn't benefit him. He wasn't going to be on the ice for the penalty kill. So it's, it is what it is. I don't think he needs to be replaced. I mean, if you're going to replace him, I think the reality is, who are you going to bring up from Laval, right? I think at this point, the Canadiens are pretty happy with the players they have at Laval or in Laval. And they, they want to keep things pretty steady in Laval. They don't want to ruin any of the chemistry in Laval, nor do they want to ruin any of the chemistry of what's going on in Montreal. So bringing Pizzetta into the lineup, basically creates the minimal or the least amount of sort of change to both the Laval or the Montreal roster. Hudson will win the Rookie of the Year. Wow, such an amazing player. Yeah. I mean, again, every night I get closer and closer to feeling like, he's the clear choice for the Rookie of the Year. Whether he wins it or not, I don't know. I think Celebrini has a lot of momentum behind him and a lot of support just because of who he is and being the first overall draft pick. Not to mention that, forwards are typically more likely to get that award, and there's a lot of focus placed on scoring. But again, if Lane Hudson goes out and scores, 65 or 70 points this year as a rookie defenseman, that's going to be really hard for the voters to ignore. So we'll see. Asim is continuing. I don't know what his ice time was this game, but it seems like he's not being used. Yeah, we just touched on it, right? 350 was his ice time. What's up, Entertap? Another W for the Canadiens. Learning to win in different ways. Absolutely, Entertap. Great point, right? Learning to win in different ways. Learning to win when things aren't going, aren't necessarily in your favor. Learning to win when, the referees might be, I don't say they're against you, but the referees are certainly, officiating in a way that is not helping you at all. It's certainly, it's nice to see them win that way. And that's, winning habits, right? It's a big theme that we talk about here on this show is winning habits. And it's another winning habit that the Canadiens have started to develop. Larry says next game is against Dallas will be a barn burner. It should be a good one, right? If the game on Saturday night was any indication, then, it certainly should be a fun one to watch. Larry says, our Entertap saying hello to Larry. RDP, I'm not sure what you mean by that. You want me to write something down? Thovet is new. What's up, Thovet? Thovet, je comprends pas. C'est un nom français ou c'est un nom anglais? Got to give it to Dallas. I think it's the second of 2 this season. Doc goal proved that. Got to give it to Dallas. I don't think I understand your question there completely, Thovet. Maybe you can, I see you've asked something else here later on. I think Montreal goals were more skilled than the Utah goals. I agree, Entertap. Again, I think that the Utah goals, they got one on the power play, 5-on-3, obviously. which helped. I don't think it really matters whether your goals are skilled or not, but again, it is nice to see the Canadiens being the team that is, sort of the alpha in a game where they're scoring the goals in a as you say, in a more skilled way. They're the more skilled team, and the other team is having to score goals that are kind of fluky and like I said, the one that kind of bounced in off the post and then off of Montembeau's back and kind of rolled in the back of the net. So goaltending will be critical against Dallas, and we are firing on all cylinders in net. Yes, sir. I think we are going to see Montembeau back in net in Dallas. We talked about this the other night on Coach's show. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Montembeau obviously tonight and then on Thursday, and then I think you'll probably see Dobesh. I think you'll see Dobesh. I shouldn't say probably. I really don't have any idea, but it's looking like you'll see Dobesh on Saturday against the Maple Leafs, which will be interesting, right? It'll be fun to see him get his debut at home at the Bell Center against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hockey night in Canada. I think it'll be a really good showcase for the kid, and it'll be a good opportunity to see what he's made of, and to again, I think we know what he's made of, but it'll be a great opportunity for him. Cooley's goal was a good goal. Cooley's goal was a nice goal. I think that the second goal, I think, was the fluky one, right? The first goal was on the power play, the 5-on-3. Then they had the goal, which was by who scored that second goal? Nick Bukestad's goal, I think, was the lucky goal. And then I think the third goal was the Schmaltz comes out of the corner with a defender draped on his back, and he kind of makes that sort of that back kind of pass to Cooley, and Cooley one times it and beats Montembeau. 10-2-1 in the last 13 games. Absolutely. Who would have thought, right? So much for Pronman's article on Hudson. Again, I know that this is a big topic of conversation going on amongst Canadiens fans on social media right now. If you haven't read it yet, Corey Pronman released his updated list of the best players in the NHL, or according to him, the best players in the NHL under the age of 23, and lo and behold, he has Lane Hudson ranked number 39 in the league. So according to Corey Pronman, there are 38 players in the NHL under the age of 23 that he believes are better than Lane Hudson, which is completely absurd. I would say that Corey Pronman has no idea what he's talking about, except what I really think is going on here is that Corey Pronman has figured out that the best way for his articles to get the most play, to get talked about the most on the radio shows, to get talked about on podcasts, to get talked about on places like this, to get talked about on Twitter, to get talked about on other social media outlets, is for him to underrate players from teams that come from the largest markets, right? So he knows that if he underrates Lane Hudson, because of the kind of market that Montreal is, the Montreal fans will all freak out, and they'll talk about it on social media, and it'll be on the podcast, and it'll be a topic of conversation. Is that a good strategy? I don't know. Maybe, if that's all you're looking for is clicks. But eventually it's going to catch up to him, because it's going to demonstrate that his credibility when it comes to this kind of thing is absolutely shot. He really doesn't know anything about hockey. I mean, he's no different than you and I, right? If I told you that you were going to have a full-time job and all you had to do was sort of watch video and produce, a listing of prospects and, young players and what have you, I think we could all do it, and we could probably, many of us, do it as well as Corey Pronman does. But again, the one thing you also have to keep in mind with Pronman, even if he was, good at his job, and even if he really knew what he was talking about, then, the task that he's taken on is next to impossible, right? So he's taken on the task of scouting the entire draft. He's taken on the task of scouting the entire, farm system of every team in the NHL. And, we're expecting that he's capable of putting out a list that is accurate and based on any type of reality. I mean, NHL teams, the Montreal Canadiens have a scouting staff of like 15 people, right? Most teams in the NHL have similar sized scouting staff. So how is Corey Pronman going to do a job that, most NHL teams have 15 people assigned to, right? So, and not only, each staff, each scouting staff on each, NHL team is, focused on their own draft. Corey Pronman is focused on everybody's draft. And then on top of that, he's also scouting the players who have already been drafted. He's scouting, the under 23 players and whatever. So, at the end of the day, it's an impossible task. And so, it's pure entertainment. It's not designed to have any, any real value as far as, giving you a sense of, who the best prospects are or who the best, guys in the draft are, and so on and so forth. So anyways, that's my rant on Corey Pronman. At the end of the day, I mean, he's a reporter. And he's obviously a researcher, and he's pretty good at that, and he can watch a lot of video, and he can keep, he does a good job. He's a good writer. He does a good job of maintaining a database of all of these players and keeping track of them all, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, his opinion means next to nothing. Like next to nothing. Like he knows no more than you or I do. Maybe slightly more because he has more time to dedicate to it, because it's his full-time job. But again, there's no real value to what he offers. I think if you're really looking for good opinions with respect to, prospects and whatever, realistically, you probably have to pay some money, and you have to, subscribe to one of the scouting services. So anyways, that's my Corey Pronman rant. Larry says, do you think they'll bring someone up to replace Hyman? I don't think they will, Larry. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll want to, I should say. Whether they come to the conclusion after a few games that maybe Michael Pezzetta is untenable in the lineup, they might. But again, I don't think they're very interested in messing with the roster here in Montreal or the roster down in Laval. Doc is back. Hopefully 2 goals in first 34 games. He has 6 goals in his last 9. Needed desperately. Yeah, again. I mean, you know me, Entertap. We've had this chat many of times. I've had some loud conversations with both you and Marco and Coach. The only thing that Doc needed was for people to leave him alone. Just let him do his thing. Let him get better. Let him improve. And I think that the Christmas break, I think he was coming around before the Christmas break, and then I think the Christmas break gave him that much needed opportunity to just be left alone and get back to where he's capable of being. Laine is making that line very exciting to watch. Absolutely. But again, Laine is making the line exciting to watch, but so is Kirby Dach, and so is Alex Newhook. Dach looks like he's well on his way to getting back to his old form. Newhook looks like he's, on the verge of doing some really nice things. What do I think? It's early, but Dobesh number 1 next season? I don't think so, Thovet. Je pense pas que, pour moi, Dobesh, c'est pas le numéro 1. Il n'y a pas de raison d'enlever le numéro 1 de Montembeault. C'est un bon joueur. Il a bien joué. Il n'y a pas de raison d'enlever son poste. Pour moi, Dobesh va être le numéro 2. Peut-être il va jouer plus de matchs s'il continue de jouer bien. Mais il ne va pas devenir le numéro 1 pour moi. Il n'y a pas de raison pour ça. Pourquoi on ferait le numéro 1 de Dobesh? Si on ferait rien, on ferait un échange égal entre les deux gardiens, mais je ne sais pas pourquoi on voudrait avoir Dobesh comme le numéro 1. Andre says, I believe we are for real now. It was like anti-vax, all the bullshit to get hits. Yes, I do that for free. I got you, Andre. Andre's on fire tonight. I love it. A win is a win, but I don't know why they put our backup goalie 2 nights in a row. Ha, ha, ha. Well, again, Frank, your concept of goaltending, I think, is very different than mine. What's up, Hoagie? Thank you. Your concept of goaltending, Frank, is a little bit different than mine. We've got 2 very good goalies right now. I don't know why people insist on trying to turn that into a controversy. The reality is that Montembeault is the number 1 goalie, has been the number 1 goalie. He played fantastic tonight. deserves everything he gets, and there's no real reason to even consider changing things right now. Entertap is his preemptive A team. Hudson, Monty, Doc, Caulfield, and Laine. He's going with an extra one with a fifth. You're pretty close, Entertap. I watch junior hockey, the KHL, the AHL. Me too, Andre. It's awesome. That's one of the great things about the rebuild for me is the opportunity to watch the prospects at all the different levels and all the different leagues. I got a chance to watch Ivan Demidov play in the KHL yesterday. I'll probably watch him, I guess, tomorrow, but the day really, Friday or Thursday. Thursday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. I don't know. Funny thing about lists is they always raise conversation, and lists are contingent on whatever criteria is used. To be honest, but again, there's no criteria or there's no criteria or justification that Corey Pronman could have for having Lane Hudson. The only way Lane Hudson would be ranked 39th amongst under 23 players in the NHL is if you're ranking them by height. There really is no justifiable criteria that you could be judging that by. Mais si on rentre dans playoffs, puis Montembeault, il peut pas, tu penses que... Non, je pense pas. Ça dépend. Il y a beaucoup de choses qui peuvent arriver avant, d'ici à l'an prochain, mais pour moi, il y a pas de raison de... Pourquoi on parle de ça maintenant? Certainement, il y a beaucoup de choses qui peuvent arriver d'ici l'an prochain, mais on parle de ça maintenant. Pourquoi? De quelle raison? Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose avec Montembeault qu'on n'aime pas? Et pourquoi on parle de Dobesh? Il a joué 4 matchs. Les partisans des Canadiens sont très... ils veulent toujours avoir des changements dans un très petit... a very small sample size. Pour les partisans canadiens, ils font toujours des réactions. Like Montreal Canadiens fans love to react, right? They react based on the last thing that they saw. The meme about the dog that's walking and squirrel. That's what Canadiens fans are like, right? Like just because a guy comes up and has a few good games doesn't mean that you have to throw the whole organization into turmoil. Dobesh is good, right? But Montembeault is good too. And so I don't understand why, just because something has happened in the last, 10 seconds, we have to jump on the bandwagon and feel like, everything has to change. Pourquoi on doit changer toute l'organisation parce qu'il y a quelque chose qui vient d'arriver? C'est certain que Dobesh joue bien, mais Montembeault joue bien aussi. C'est un bonus d'avoir de bons goalers. C'est pas une situation où on doit avoir un bon gardien, un gardien qui c'est pas bon. Tous les deux sont bien et ils jouent bien. C'est une bonne chose pour le Canadien. Fowler is coming a seam. You're right. I still think he's at least a couple years away. Steve Penny, Andre Rasico. Two interesting characters. Steve Penny was certainly a favorite of mine. Andre Rasico, not so much, but again, I remember that playoff run. I think it was 84 for Steve Penny. Pennies from Heaven, remember that? Allow me to revamp the A team. Monty, Doc, Hudson, and Caulfield. You're still close, Entertap. Hoagie, another win for the boys. Great to see the team coming together down the stretch after the break. Absolutely. You're right. It is fun now watching the. It's again. It was kind of something I said to a lot of people, Andre, when they were complaining about last year and the Canadiens weren't playing that well, and everyone was talking about the fact that the team's not fun to watch and it's they're losing every night. And I was like, well, it's a rebuild. Like go last year you could go watch Lane Hudson, you could go watch Jacob Fowler, you could go watch all these guys. This year you can go watch Sam Harris, you can watch Michael Hage, you can watch Bogdan Konushkov, you can watch Ivan Demidov, you can watch all these guys. There's just so much exciting going on within the organization right now. You can watch Laval play. So personnellement, moi, je n'aime pas le style de Monty. Pas de raison contre lui, juste style de jeu. Il joue bien, c'est vrai. Je parle des hypothétiques. OK, mais pour moi, je comprends pas pourquoi tu n'aimerais pas le style de Montembeault. Est-ce que tu aimais le style de Montembeault avant que Dobesch jouait bien? Pour moi, le style que j'aime, c'est le style qui arrête la rondelle de rentrer dans le but. Et pour moi, c'est ça le style de Montembeault. Il joue un bon style, c'est un bon joueur, c'est un bon goaler. Euh, il y a pas de raison, il y a pas de raison du tout qu'on parle d'enlever son job. Il y a aucune raison. Aucune raison. Dobesh only played 3 games. He got taken out a few games in the AHL. Carrier also consideration for 18. Oh, okay, Intertap. Okay. All right, guys, let's get to the scoreboard. Let's go quick through the scoreboard, guys. So the Canadiens, as we know, they win 5-3. The game starts out a little bit weird. You know, they get a penalty sort of right off the top. Then they go down 5-on-3, and they give up a power play goal at the 2:11 mark to Josh Doan. Josh Doan, of course, the son of Shane Doan. 5-on-3 power play, both terrible calls. Again, like I said earlier, poor Pizzetta gets, he's on the ice for, 30 seconds, and, Jack McBain jams his stick, up inside of his nuts. And Pizzetta goes down with McBain's stick stuck between his legs, and the referee calls him for holding the stick. It's just one of the most crazy calls I've ever seen. On the power play, Keller and Sergachev have the puck. They're playing pass back and forth. They're playing catch back and forth, sort of, on that left-hand circle. Eventually, Keller decides he's going to take a shot. Montembeault makes the save, and Doan is able to squeak the puck past Montembeault on the rebound. The score is 1-0. It's Doan from Keller and Schmaltz. The Canadiens do manage to come back relatively quickly. They score at 3:18. Matheson from Caulfield and Hudson. Clearing attempt by Cole Caulfield is partially stopped at the blue line by Kerfoot. The puck squirts into the neutral zone. And somehow, Mike Matheson, for whatever reason, he's at full pace. And he hits the puck. He gets the puck in the neutral zone at full pace. He splits the Utah defense, goes in all alone on Vejmelka, puts a nice deke on him, and he scores the goal to make it 1-1 at 3:18. It's Matheson from Caulfield and Hudson. And then what could have been the backbreaker but didn't turn out to be, luckily, Nick Bukestad scores his 5th of the year from Kesselring and Michelli at 19:06. Again, it's right after another penalty ended. I think there were 4 consecutive penalties called against Montreal in that first period. It's just a bit of a sloppy play at the side of the net. The penalty has just ended. Bukestad is standing at the side of the net. He just kind of chops at the puck. The puck goes off the post, and then kind of hits Montembeault in the back and rolls down his back and goes in the net. So it's 2-1 after the first period. The Canadiens, again, I didn't feel that they played that badly, even though they were, the numbers would indicate otherwise. They're outshot 14-3. High danger scoring chances are 9-1. And the expected goals are 2.1 to 0.3. It's obviously a dominating period by the Utah Hockey Club, but it's not really that dominating because the Canadiens spent the majority of that period on the penalty kill. So again, there'd be lots of opportunities for Utah to score. Plus, a lot of the Canadiens' best players don't get a chance to play because they're not typically on the penalty kill. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. If you're in the live, you're enjoying the content, give us a thumbs up. Like the live. We always try to get to 50. I know it's going to be a tough ask tonight, given that we're on so late. But if you are inclined, do so. Hit the subscription button, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell. If you're watching live, if you're watching in a replay, if you're watching over there on TikTok, come on over here to YouTube, Recliner Sports 4. Join the show. Second period, the Canadiens tie the game up. Patrick Laine scores his first even-strength goal of the year. It's his 10th on the season from Newhook and Carrier. A really, really nice play. Laine creates a Laine creates a turnover in the defensive zone. He carries the puck through the neutral zone and into the defensive zone. He crosses the blue line. He drops the puck to Carrier. Carrier one-touch passes it to Alex Newhook on the right circle dot, right on the dot pretty much. And without any hesitation, Newhook fires a cross-ice pass onto the stick of Patrick Laine, who is on the opposite side of the ice, on the opposite circle. And Laine just buries a snapshot over top of the, basically high on the glove side of Vejmelka. So again, after the second period, the score is now tied at 2. We head to the third period. Everything was pretty, the Canadiens kind of dominated that second period. Shots were 12-6. High danger scoring chances I thought would have been a little bit more in favor of the Canadiens, but according to Natural Stat Trick, it was only 8-6. But they had 2.3 or 2.0 expected goals in that period. So a pretty dominant period for the Canadiens. Third period rolls around. I kind of thought the Canadiens would kind of come out and just take over the game. They didn't. Was it 2-2 after 2 or 3-2 after 2? Yeah, it's 3-2 after 2. Did I miss a goal here? Did I miss a goal there? 1, 2, 3, 4. I did miss a goal. Whose goal did I miss? I missed a goal, guys. Anyways, all good. I think I missed Doc's first goal. Anyways, let's move on. Anyway, we'll continue. Logan Cooley scores at 3:07 of the third period. Again, kind of weak defensive zone coverage by Montreal. Schmaltz walks out of the corner, sort of along the boards, into the middle. As he's crossing across, he hits a little drop pass to Cooley. Cooley beats Sam Montembeault. At this point, I think is where we're getting the goal that I missed. So the next goal should be the Kirby Dach goal, the first one. Yeah, Kirby Dach scored at the end of the second period. That's where I screwed up, guys. Kirby Dach scores at the end of the second period. He gets the puck from Lane Hudson. He's on the left-hand side, and for whatever reason, the C's just kind of open up for him. A lane opens up wide up. He goes all the way in. He goes in, and he beats Vejmelka. He dekes Vejmelka out. So after the end of the second period, it's actually 3-2 for Montreal. Then we have the Cooley goal that we just mentioned, makes it 3-3 at the beginning of the third. But then at 6:33, Cole Caulfield gives the Canadiens a 4-3 lead. His 24th of the year from Hudson and Matheson. It's right off of a face-off. Suzuki wins the face-off. The puck ends up with Mike Matheson. Matheson makes a partner pass over to Hudson. Hudson walks in on the left-hand side and basically shoots the puck in off of Caulfield's stick. Right, Caulfield's got his stick on the ice, and anybody who thinks that was a fluke probably hasn't been watching Lane Hudson play that much. But Hudson just basically shoots the puck in off of Caulfield's stick. And at that point, the Canadiens are up 4-3. That's the game-winning goal. And then we have the final goal of the game at 16:15. Again, another one by Dach, his 8th of the season from Carrier. Carrier breaks up a pass at his own blue line. The puck ends up with Kirby Dach in the neutral zone. He enters the offensive zone on a bit of a partial breakaway. And he shoots a wrist shot from the top of the right-hand circle that, any other goaltender in the NHL probably saves that. Vejmelka lets it float into the net. He misses it completely, and that's all she wrote. 5-3 Montreal. That's your final. The final shots are 26-25 Montreal. The high danger scoring chances are 18-13 in favor of Utah, largely on the back of that first period. And they also have a slight edge on expected goals at 3.0 to 2.3. So that's all she wrote for the scoreboard, guys. We will get to the A team here in a minute, but let's get back to the comments. I see there's a few here. I see we've got 13 thumbs up, guys. Keep those coming. Maybe we can get a few tonight on the late night version of this show. Thovet, non, il laisse trop de filets ouverts, couvre pas les angles, plus mais no, again, you're wrong, Thovet. I mean, again, I appreciate you being here. But I think your takes on Sam Montembeault just aren't. Ton opinion de Montembeault, c'est pas basé en la réalité. Y a pas les statistiques montrent que votre opinion sur Montembeault, c'est pas correct. Je suis pas en accord avec toi. Moi, ce que j'aime de Monty, il fait des arrêts clés même quand il n'y a pas un bon match. Exactly, Andre. And tonight was a good example of that. He made the save. He didn't make a ton of saves tonight, but he made the saves that counted when they needed. Riker scooter tricks. Refs have been absurdly bad this year. Shake my head. I agree. The referees in the NHL are terrible. I've talked about it before. They don't know how to referee. The rules and the referees in the NHL are ridiculous. It's probably the weakest point of this league. The league will not be on the same level with the other three major sports until they fix the rules and the officials. The officials have no idea what they're doing on the ice. There's no idea whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, I like Dobash. I don't necessarily think he's our answer. I just like Monty. Again, I don't agree with you, Thovet. I think that your opinion on Montembeault's style, I think that your opinion on Montembeault's flaws, I think that they're just not based in reality. I don't think that the facts and the reality back you up. I just don't think they do. NHL scoring leaders among players under 21 years old this year: Bedard, Cooley, Hudson, Michkov, Celebrini, and Slavkovsky. Yeah, not bad. But again, that's what, this is a rebuild. This is what you want. That would be something that you would look to have happen if you were rebuilding a team. You want your young players to be amongst those leaders. I think the first period was caused by the Heineman disruption, and they settled down for the second and third period. Yeah, I think that's part of it. Again, I don't think that the penalties in that first period were fair, Larry. Again, I think that the call on Pezzetta was very unfair. I mean, I think the penalty should have gone the other way. In fact, I believe the referees were calling the penalty the other way. If you noticed, they let the Montreal Canadiens player play the puck for about 2 or 3 seconds before they blew the whistle. And it certainly looked like the penalty was going against Utah. And then they changed that call. Again, I'm not going to suggest that the Matheson penalty wasn't a penalty. But it's not a penalty you typically would call when they're already down by a man, and when you've just ignored the exact same penalty by the other team, like no more than 10 seconds before that. So I had a real problem with that 5-on-3 to begin with. What else? Who were the other penalties in that first period? So you also had the Patrick Laine penalty, the cross-checking right behind the net. So Velimaki is cross-checking Carrier, I think it was, behind the net, and whatever. And, Laine comes in and offers a very, very, innocuous, benign cross-check to Velimaki. And Velimaki, goes down as if there's a sniper in the top row of the stands at the arena, at the Delta Center. Right, like he goes down as if somebody has shot him from with a 50 caliber, and it's just and the referees you've got to be better than that. You've got to be paying attention to the game better than that. One, you have to recognize the dive, and two, you have to recognize the initial play that led to Laine going in there, and then again the Kirby Dach penalty again. It's a trip. It's a trip in today's NHL. I mean, I have my issues with that automatic trip, right? If somebody falls on your stick, regardless of whether you intended it or not, it's a penalty, right? So, like, I can be skating down the ice with my stick looking over here, and somebody can trip on my stick, and I'm not even looking at it, and it's going to be a penalty. So, I get that that's a penalty in the NHL today. I think it's an extremely weak penalty in the NHL. And it's especially weak when they don't call it consistently, right? It creates what those automatic penalties do is it creates too many opportunities for there to be penalties in a game, and it allows the referees to pick and choose when they're going to call it. If they call it all the time, there's going to be 25 penalties a game. So again, I don't think that I don't think that those penalties are the way that they're asked to be called is bad. And I don't think that the referees have the skill and the intelligence to call them properly. So, anyways, that's a lot of talking about the referees so far. Yes, or is the A team just for scoring? The A team is not just for scoring. Devin, did you hear about Malkin's home being broken in? All 3 of his Stanley Cup rings are missing. Okay, well, that's crazy. Those will be hard to sell, I would think. Line A and a second pick. Line A, then Doc. So you guys are all asking about the A team. Do you want me to just get to it, or do you want me to get through the comments here first? Evans was usually steady. Yeah, I don't think Evans would. Again, we'll get there. We'll get there to the A team in a second here. All right, Frank. Thank you, man. I appreciate you staying as long as you have. I appreciate it. Have a good night and enjoy your day at work tomorrow, Frank. Same to you, Thovet. On Doc first goal, 3 players were expecting a pass to Line A. Doc went in like a hot enough through brother. Yeah, they just like I said, the C's kind of part of Mark Boisclair. Welcome. Where do you get your expected goal stats and high danger scoring opportunities? I get them from Natural Stat Trick, and I have to say that I'm not convinced that they're completely accurate. I know that is one of the main sources that a lot of people use for advanced stats. I do have to say that there are some games where I'm kind of left scratching my head a little bit with their numbers. But that is where I go, Mark. Natural Stat Trick. It's essentially a free website, which is kind of impressive for the amount of data that they offer. But yeah, Natural Stat Trick is really good. I also spend a lot of time on Money Puck. Unfortunately, Money Puck doesn't break down the stats as well, I guess, if I say that, as Natural Stat Trick does. So, great teams win regardless of the referees. Yeah, I agree with that, Andre. Again, it's like I said at the beginning of the show. Sometimes, you have to win even though things are going against you sometimes, right? You have to win despite those things. Patrick, doing overtime tonight until I get to work tomorrow morning. Yes. Well, I'm doing overtime tonight as well, Patrick. With these outrageous penalties in the first, force you to play your PK players. It keeps your top line off the ice for us. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I said earlier, right? There's not only do those penalties give, the Utah Hockey Club scoring opportunities, because they're playing with a man advantage. It also throws off your entire, game plan. Like, what are the? I don't think I can look at the. Can I look at the shifts by Canadian shift report? So, like, Caulfield. It's not going to tell me. Yeah, but time on ice by period would be a good stat if I could look at that. I don't know if I can do that by period on Natural Stat Trick. But I would expect that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky would have probably only had 3 or 4 minutes of ice time in that first period. Their ice time for the entire game for that first line. Oh, NHL.com does not have a game sheet up right now. Anyway, so I'll have to look at it later. Money Puck is accurate. I don't agree, Andre. I don't agree. I think that there's a lot of inaccuracies in their numbers. I've pointed them out in the past. There were games where, the numbers just didn't make sense. Again, it's not maybe necessarily about the accuracy of it all. It's about how they judge, their high danger scoring chances, how they judge their expected goals. There are some inconsistencies and some inaccuracies there that I have some questions about. Do I think Savard is gone at the deadline or not? Welcome, Vince. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the question. Do I think Savard is gone at the trade deadline or not? I really don't know, Vince. What I will say is that I don't believe that they'll be in any rush to get rid of him. Like, it won't be a matter of them saying, he's got to go. We got to get him out of here. If they get the right offer for him, I think that they will consider it. I do think that they have an interest in maybe having him end his career in Montreal. Even if it's as the 7th defenseman eventually. So I don't think they'll be in a rush to trade him. But if somebody does come along and offer the right deal, I think they may consider it. But thank you for coming. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, guys. All these new people, all you new people that are in here that are new to the show, if you enjoy what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up. We're at 15 thumbs up. That's better than I thought we'd be, on this late night show. So that's awesome, guys. Money Puck is great. I like to look at the lines and defensive duos. Yes, there's a lot of good stuff on Money Puck as well. Where do I rank Monty compared to the rest of the league's starting goalies? I would say that Monty is probably somewhere near the middle of the pack. I would say he's probably somewhere between, 12 and 16-ish, something like that. Again, I don't think that his numbers necessarily reflect how good he is. His numbers last year were actually quite good, despite being on a struggling team. I think this year his numbers are pretty average through the first half of the season. In part because he is on a struggling team. I think you'll see his numbers will improve as the year goes on if the Canadiens continue to play the way they've been playing here in the last month or so. So for me, the best overall advanced stats is Hockey Reference. I do like Hockey Reference, and I do use it. I don't use it as much as I used to, Patrick. I think they have some really good stuff over at Hockey Reference. I particularly really like the point share that they do. There's a stat called point share that they use, which is quite good. They have a defensive point share and an offensive point share, and then a total, which I really like. Have a look at Money Puck on a bigger sample size. I think Savard will be traded, and he will be back UFA. Yeah, I don't know what'll happen there. Again, Coach and I had a good chat about this maybe a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about, the fact that Savard does really love being in Montreal. Obviously, it's his hometown. He loves the fact that his kids are going to school in Montreal. I think his wife likes Montreal. I think in a perfect world, he would finish his career here. And I think that the Canadiens would be happy with that. I could see him, eventually being, playing a role in the organization. I could definitely see that. So yeah, I think those are all things to keep in mind and to consider when you're talking about David Savard's future. So, and his role on the team too. He's kind of like the father figure to a lot of the players, especially the defensemen on the team. So, yeah, I would have no problem if he were still around. But again, if they get the right trade offer for him, as a right-handed defenseman, there's going to be a market for him at the trade deadline. Monty, top 15. Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. Thank you, Vince. Thank you. I appreciate. I think I appreciate. I don't know if he would. I don't know if I don't know if Savard would rate a first-round draft pick. Certainly, I think if they got offered a first-round draft pick, they would take that. Would they be willing to take a second-round draft pick for him? Don't know. It's going to be interesting. At the end of the day, he's a right-handed defenseman, which is, extremely valuable, not just to other teams, but also to the Canadiens. If you're over there on TikTok, guys, come on over here to YouTube and join the show. We're having a great conversation here. Late night Habs After Dark, guys. We're going to get to the A-team here in a second. But before we do, I just want to say a little bit about Substack. I don't know how much you guys would know about Substack. It's not the most common or popular social media outlet out there. But I do have a Substack. I have just recently started it. I am trying to get it going, and it would really help if you guys were interested in going over there. What it is it's an outlet, it's a platform where I can publish my written work. I can post videos over there, but most importantly, it has a pretty good chat platform. And what I want to start doing is I want to start using their chat and creating a place for you guys to join, where we can have conversations, when the show's not going on, right? When I'm not on the air, we can have a spot where, you guys can go in and you can, write your comments, your questions, and, I can answer them, or you can answer them, or we can just, we can keep the conversation going. What I'd like to do is, I create, a thread for every game. So tonight I created a thread for tonight's game, and then I started with a bit of a question where there wasn't a lot of activity there because I've just started it. But if you guys are interested, I know it's always a bit of a daunting task to think that you're going to go out and join another social media platform. But what I can say is that it is a good platform. It is user friendly. There's no limitation on the length of your post, so you're not stuck with 140 characters or whatever it is on a TikTok now. There's virtually no trolling and toxicity there. It's only going to be the people who join our group who are going to be a part of it. And it certainly is a really, really cool spot to get your questions answered, to post your comments, to get your have your say, and so on and so forth. So if you are interested in that, again, I'm not going to push it, but it really would be a cool spot for all of us to have a place to join the conversation. Arpin Basu and Marc-Antoine Godin have a Substack, and it's actually pretty active. I'm not sure that there's a bunch of people on there that don't really know what they're talking about, but they're getting ready to make their Substack paid only, which I think is a bit of a joke. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to comment on that. But again, I would like to have a place where people can join for free and engage in conversations. Obviously Blue Sky and Twitter are good for that. But if you want a place where you can really have, serious, intelligent conversations, then I think Substack's a good place to do that. And I've created a place for that. So if you go over to Substack and you join, you create an account, you can go in there and you can find me, Recliner Sports, and you can subscribe over there. That would be wicked cool. So so that's my little whatever I want to call it, my little sales job for Substack. So let's get on to, we'll do the A team here real quick, guys. There we go, guys. There's the A team for tonight. I think Entertap was close. I can't remember what you said, Entertap. But Hudson, Carrier, Montembeault, and Caulfield. Those are my choices. Hudson, obviously, again, just more of the same from Hudson. He's just spectacular. 3 assists tonight, despite being only the 39th best under 23 player in the NHL. Lane Hudson goes out and throws up another 3 points for the Canadiens. He was really, really good. I thought Carrier looked really, really good. Not only did he get that assist on the Kirby Dach goal, but I thought he was really good defensively. He played solid. His underlying numbers were fantastic tonight. Right from the very get-go, I thought he was really good. In fact, I thought his game had kind of fallen off. I wouldn't say fallen off. It was still quite good, but compared to where it was when he first joined the team, I thought the last 2, maybe 3 games were not quite as good, and tonight he just really brought it. Sam Montembeault, again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think he made a ton of saves tonight, but he certainly made the saves that he needed to make, or that the team needed him to make when they needed to be made, right? We kept them in the game in the first period when Utah was on fire and they were taking advantage of all those power plays. What do they say? Your best penalty killer is your goaltender, and I think that was definitely the case for Montembeault tonight. I think that certainly the first goal, it's hard to blame him on a 5-on-3 power play. The third goal, again, across a bit of a misdirection pass from Schmaltz to Cooley. Cooley buries it before he can get across to the post. The second goal, maybe you could argue he should have kept that one out of the net, but again, it was a bit of a fluke and an unlucky goal. Cole Caulfield, again, maybe some people would have said Kirby Dach here. Kirby Dach with the 2 goals, but again, Caulfield was spectacular tonight, right? Again, he gets another, he's got a goal and an assist. He's a +2. He plays almost 17 minutes. His defensive numbers were pretty good. I think he led the team in most underlying stats. I'm going to check that just to confirm with you guys. While I got you here, I'm going to just go over here and I'm going to look at Cole Caulfield's numbers. So Cole Caulfield, maybe he fell off a little bit there in the third period. He was leading the team in expected goals and Corsi and Fenwick and all of the numbers. Looks like his numbers might have fallen off after they adjusted the numbers at the end of the game. But again, he's still above 50% on all three of those statistics. A good game for Cole Caulfield. He scores his 24th, I think we said, of the year. So again, what do you think of the A team, guys? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I screwed up? Did I leave guys off? Did I put guys on there that shouldn't be there? Give me an earful, guys. Let me know. Monty last year for 40 games plus had the best quality start percentage in the AHL. Yeah, he also had a pretty good number as far as saves above expected. I thought he was really good last year. I love the point share stat. I think it's a pretty good one. Patrick, I think that there are a lot of stats out there, especially, Dom Luszczyszyn is a guy who, obviously I think he puts in a lot of work and does a ton of, good things, but, his statistical matrices or matrices and algorithms and metrics that he develops just don't make sense to me. He does the metric for The Athletic. He also does hockey stat cards. I don't know if you guys ever look at hockey stat cards. But again, the hockey stat cards are always a bit of a mystery to me. Let me see what they are tonight, and we can see if we agree with them. So hockey stat cards for tonight for Montreal. Who do you think that they have? So who do you? So they do what's called a game score. Who do you think that they would have? So they've got. They're not bad tonight. They have Lane Hudson. According to his metric, Lane Hudson had the highest game score tonight, followed by Caulfield, Laine, Carrier, and Newhook. So again, I guess I can't really complain because he basically has my entire A team in the top three there. So I'm not always convinced by Dom Luszczyszyn's stat matrix. I've actually had conversations with him online about it. I'm not buying what he's selling completely. So, anyways, it is what it is. But I do like the point share. I do think that Hockey Reference needs to sort of catch up to the times a little bit. But otherwise, do I think the Habs will fill in for Heineman, and who will it be? I think it's going to be Pizzetta, Patrick. I think they're going to stick with Pizzetta. I don't think they have any. I've said this a few times already in the show. I don't think they have a real interest in messing with the roster here in Montreal or with the big team or down in Laval. Savard will be a Canadien after his career. I don't disagree with that. 2-round, I would if is back. Yeah, if they s'ils vont s'il y a une offre d'un choix de repêchage du deuxième round, je pense que le Canadien vont considérer ça. Ça va être une grosse considération pour le Canadien. Et pour moi, si on peut avoir un joueur de deuxième ronde pour Savard, la seule chose que je dirais à ce sujet, c'est perdre un défenseur de droitier, c'est pas une chose facile pour Montréal maintenant. C'est pas une chose facile pour Montréal. If Savard is happy being a seventh D man in Montreal, then he stays. Could be a mentor for the youngsters and yet able to contribute. I agree with that. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be next year. It could be the year after that, right? Again, it all depends, right? Where's Reinbacher? Where's Engstrom? Where's Mayu? Where's Kanyushkov? I think Kanyushkov is a bit of a wild card, right? I think he's a guy who could come into this lineup, and he's a right-handed defenseman, and I think he could be, he could be on that same level. Now, I was kind of disappointed that nobody asked Kent Hughes about him, right? Kent Hughes went to watch Ivan Demidov in Russia. He brought Le Cavalier and Bobrov with him, and they went over to Russia. But, it wasn't a coincidence that the first game that they saw Demidov play was against Torpedo, which is Kanyushkov's team. And they also got to see him play. Now, presumably they would have met with him as well and had a conversation with him. I don't think they would have gone all that way without speaking to him. But nobody asked about that. Nobody asked about, whether they had a chance to talk to Kanyushkov and where he stands. Because honestly, it's more mysterious. There's more of a mystery there with Kanyushkov than there is with Demidov. We know Demidov's coming over, right? Like he said that he wants to come over. He's not, he's turned down all of the contract offers that Ska has offered him. He's coming. Kanyushkov, we don't know what his plan is. He's got a couple years left on his Russian contract. Is he interested in leaving the KHL and coming to North America? Like, what's his plan? So I would have thought that somebody would have asked Kent Hughes about that aspect of his trip to Russia, and nobody did. I think Savard is about to retire. He looks beat up. Yeah, I don't know if he's ready just yet, but I agree with you, Patrick. I think he's close. I think, what is he, 34 years old? He's had a long career. He's had a rough career. I think in a perfect world for Montreal, I think he does go somewhere at the trade deadline and they can get a decent return for him. Again, he does have value as a right-handed defenseman with Stanley Cup. He's got a Stanley Cup pedigree, man, right? So those are valuable assets. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Keep them coming. We got 17. Maybe tonight we can reset our goal just for tonight and tonight only. We can set our goal at 30. I don't think we're going to get to 50, being a late night. But we got 16 people in the room right now. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching here live, if you enjoy the content, if you're watching in a replay, I know not everybody can be here after the games, especially when it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So, if you do enjoy the content, help us grow our community. We're around 250 subscribers. We're trying to get to 500. You can do a lot of cool things on YouTube when you get to 500 subscribers. You can't really do a lot of cool things when you're at 250 subscribers. So help us grow the community. I'm trying to grow a place for you guys where you guys can come and talk hockey, whether it's here on YouTube or on the Substack. Substack is something that I worked on over the last few days, getting that set up. But yeah, hopefully we can get that going. Dobesh against the Leafs or the Rangers. My thought is it's going to be against the Leafs, Frank. I don't know, obviously, but I'm thinking it might be against the Leafs on Saturday night. Devin is the only guy who would stay up after the game and do a great job. Well, thank you, Andre. I appreciate it. Merci beaucoup, Andre. I'm running out of gas a little bit. It is 2:07 here in Halifax. I do have. I've been having a few beverages while I watch the game, so let's keep me going a little bit. Yes, Mark, it is an app. So I don't know how the app works on a computer. I know how it works on a phone or an iPad. I know that you can access it through a website or you can access it through the app. But again, it's a pretty good app. It's got it's a good platform. It's pretty user friendly. I enjoy it. But yeah, go check it out, guys. Again, the chat especially, I think, is a cool spot. And again, it will give it could give us a place where we could have good conversations about the games in between the games, right? So when we're not on YouTube, when we're not live here on the air doing Habs After Dark, we are going to be doing another show as well, guys. That is coming. I know I've been promising it for a while, but it is coming. Dobesh versus Dallas and Rangers. Monty at home versus Leafs. I don't agree with that, Patrick. I would say that we're going to see Montembeault against Dallas, and I think we'll see Dobesh on Saturday against Toronto, and then I think we'll probably see Montembeault get back in the goal on Sunday against the Rangers. Yeah, the A-team, guys, is not in order. So, Hudson being first doesn't mean he's the guy I think was the best. Those guys are not in any particular order. A-team, Hudson, Monty, Caulfield, and Matheson. Okay. I don't agree. I don't think that Matheson played any better than Cartier did tonight. I obviously agree with you on Hudson, Monty, and Caulfield. But yeah, Matheson. I mean, Matheson played well. I just don't think he played in a way that would have him ahead of Cartier. Yeah, absolutely. There you go, Entertap. You had Cartier and Doc as honorable mention. Cartier is a good pick also. He was involved in the O-zone. I thought he had a good game tonight. I thought he was skating well. I thought he looked quick. He was moving the puck really well. Got that assist. Yeah, I just thought, and his underlying numbers were right on track. Yep. B team, Doc, Line, Carrier. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I would. Yeah, those would be the next guys in line. I think you could probably. I thought Slavkovsky wasn't ideal tonight. I thought that Newhook had a really good game tonight. So, yeah, again, I agree with you, Frank Knox. Kirby Doc is right in the mix, especially with 2 goals. What's going on, Rain? How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. I also love the pro scouting on Cap Friendly. Yeah, I like the new Puckpedia, but there are some features on the new Puckpedia there are some features from the old Cap Friendly that aren't on the new Puckpedia. Any thoughts on the Jets having $9.7 million in cap space come deadline? Do you think they make a big push for a 2C or a big splash per se, a guy like EP40? EP40. Who's EP40? I don't know who EP40 is. If they have $9.7 million at the cap at the deadline, I think it's really hard to add a guy at the deadline that's going to make a huge difference. Like I don't think there's going to be a lot of sort of top 6 type forwards available at the deadline. You rarely see the big names that change teams at the trade deadline work out. Usually the moves that work at the trade deadline are sort of the finishing pieces. If you know what I mean, like it's not like sort of the big name guys that really make usually if a big name guy is on the market at the trade deadline, it's because there's an issue there. So again, I'm not again, I have to confess, Rain, that I'm not super familiar with the Jets situation. But again, the idea of adding a top 6 impact guy is not usually something that can be achieved at the trade deadline. That is why they are working on Mayu right now. He is playing defensively. Mayu is coming. I bet on it. You bet that Mayu is coming up to. Oh, so you're talking about a replacement for Savard. Yeah, that's possible. If they're comfortable enough, I mean that'll be another consideration, right? If they're comfortable enough with Mayu and the other defensemen that are coming up from Laval, whether it's Engstrom or whoever, then yeah, I mean obviously Mayu's a right-handed defenseman. If they feel like he's ready to make the jump up, they're like they've said all along, right? They're not going to allow veteran players to block the path of a young prospect coming up to the NHL. So I'd love to see Simon Nemec in Montreal, good defensive defenseman. Righty and New Jersey are not playing him. Yeah, maybe, but again, I just don't like. What does Simon Nemec give you that the Canadiens don't already have, or that they? Like what are you like? So if Simon Nemec comes up, he's going to be like who? Like what role is he playing in this team? Right? Like, are you giving up on Mayu? Are you giving up on Engstrom? Are you like who are you giving up on if you're bringing in Simon Nemec? Right? Because Simon Nemec is a prospect, and the Canadiens have a ton of defense prospects, and that's a good thing. But if you're bringing Nemec in, then presumably you're bringing him in because you think he's better than Mayu, or you think he's better than, Reinbacher, or you think he's better than, So again, I'm not really sure about that. Like for me, again, do I have a bias towards our players? Absolutely. Like, do I want to see do I want to see the Canadiens win with this current group of guys? Yeah, I do. And so for me, I don't want to I'm not sure I'm ready to give up on, any of the Canadiens prospects before we get an opportunity to see if and what they're capable of at the NHL level. And to me, if you're bringing in Nemec, if you're bringing him in, you're putting him ahead of, some of the Canadiens prospects who haven't yet had their full opportunity to show what they can do at the NHL level. You don't see Mayu being a defensively reliable player. Yeah, again, I think it's pretty early to say that, Patrick. He's still quite young. He's got a lot of developing to do. He's obviously a fantastic athlete. He's obviously really good at hockey, and these guys are high level athletes, and it's I think it's always difficult to put anything past these guys. It's a kid who makes it to the NHL has a ton of talent, and to me, it's difficult to say that they can't do something. Especially early on in their careers. If you're 29 years old and you haven't done something in the first 5 or 6 years of your NHL career, yeah, or 8 or 9 years of your NHL career, yeah, it's maybe you can't change, who you are. But when you're 19 or 20 or 21 years old and you're that kind of talent, I think he can do a lot of stuff, and it appears that the organization believes he's capable of it as well. Mark Boisclair, in my opinion, Savard has regressed lots since last year. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think he's a little bit beat up. He's old. His game was never, a spectacular, exciting game to watch. He's obviously, got a lot of, he's an effective hockey player in a lot of ways. But in others, he's, perhaps not that effective, right? Like he's, there are aspects of his game, I don't know how to explain that. Like, he's never going to be a guy who's spectacular. He's never going to be a guy who's going to play 25 minutes a game. He's not, he's not, he's a guy who's going to go out there. He's going to kill penalties. He's going to play, ideally 14, 15 minutes. He's not going to skate fast. He's not going to have a big shot. He's just going to do his thing. And I think in that sense, he's pretty good at his job. And I think there is a spot for him on this team, especially if he's willing to play that, the role of a 7th defenseman. 2:40 a.m. What's going on? Thank you very much, RDP. I appreciate it. We're getting those thumbs up. We've got 20. We need 10 more. We need 10 more. We got 13 people in here. We need 10 more. Primetime Saturday night hockey night in Canada versus the Leafs. Monty is in net. I disagree, Patrick. I disagree. I think for those exact same reasons, they're going to give the start to Dobesh. I think they're going to give Dobesh the start for that very reason, that they're going to give him the opportunity, his first game at home, and it'll be a big chance for him to play in that spotlight and to see what he's made of. So, again, I don't know. You don't know. We're both speculating. We both have good reasons for why we think it'll go a certain way, but I think for the same reasons you've pointed out, I think you're going to see Dobesh get his first home start on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The passing sequence on Laine's goal was awesome to watch. 100%. 100% it was. I agree with you completely. Two quick one-touch passes and a quick shot from Laine. Spectacular. What's going on? What's the conversation here about? Elias Pettersson. I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if they'd be interested in Elias Pettersson. Sorry, I got you now. EP40. Sorry about that. I should have picked up on that. I listened to Mark Lazarus this morning on the Athletic podcast talking about how he thinks that every team in the NHL should be bending over backwards and killing themselves to try and get Elias Pettersson on their team. I don't see it. I don't see it. Like, I get it. He's a very talented offensive hockey player. But he's got a lot of holes in his game. He's got a 106-point season under his belt. Yeah, okay, that's great. Do we really think he's ever going to do that again? Like, he's just continually injured. He's continually moping or whining about something. I just don't know that Pettersson's the guy I would want on my team. I certainly don't want, like Lazarus was saying on the radio this morning or on the podcast this morning that, every team should be willing to, to dump their prospect pool in favor of Pettersson because Pettersson's a 106-point guy. And unless your prospect, is already scoring 106 points, you should be looking at Pettersson. And I think that's crazy. I think that's such a stupid take on things. So to me, Pettersson's not a guy I would want on my team. Whether Winnipeg wants him on their team or not, I don't know. Is Vancouver going to want to trade Pettersson to Winnipeg, that close, as a team that they're going to have to compete against? I don't know. Pettersson's an interesting one for me. I think he's a very talented hockey player. I just don't know that he's the kind of guy that I would want on my team right now based on what I know about him. I disagree with you, Griffin. I think that they could trade him. I think that he's on the trading block. I mean, with what's going on over there right now, it appears that the situation between him and JT Miller is untenable, which is unfortunate. But I think one of them is probably going to go, and I think Pettersson is probably the better trade token or the trade option for them right now. This looks so much like the 93 Cup. Okay. May go to catch teams that are on tilt. Example, Seattle hitting a home run with Kako. We'll see if that's a home run or not. It certainly looks good right now. You're 100% right. I agree. Just thinking that because Nemesnikov being a second-line center isn't necessarily ideal for a contender. Again, I confess that I don't know a ton about what's going on exactly, the internal situation with the Jets, but my experience is, and my understanding is that, or what I've seen or what I've observed is that you don't usually go out and sign. It's very rare at the trade deadline that you go out and, especially when you're contending, it's rare that maybe you get a guy. Who's going to be a free agent and you get him at the trade. But again, that's not usually successful trades for big name players rarely take place at the trade deadline. Maybe it was an offensive D-man who has no future on the Habs power play since Hudson will be there for years. Again, I don't make conclusions on players when they're still in their early 20s, Patrick. I think there's a lot of things that Mayu's capable of. Obviously, Mayu's a guy who was a first-round draft pick. He was picked 30th or 31st overall. Would have gone significantly higher, if he hadn't had that, terrible situation when he was playing over in Sweden. So again, a lot of people think a lot about Logan Mailloux. He's got a ton of talent. He's big, strong, physical. Yes, offense is his main part of his game, but I think that there's a lot there, and I don't think that the Canadiens will or should give up on him at this point. Nemec was put aside for Jonathan Kovacevic. Again, I think if you're suggesting that the Canadiens shouldn't have traded Jonathan Kovacevic, I think you're experiencing a bit of a revisionist history, Patrick. I agree. I frankly am one of the only ones who said at the time that I didn't think they should trade Kovacevic. And you can go back and you can document that if you go and look at my TikTok account from last year. You can certainly, I can prove that. I doubt that you were one of the ones, Patrick, that was saying that Jonathan Kovacevic should have stayed last year. But again, I understand that he had to go and that the numbers required him to go. But again, I'm not giving up on Logan Mailloux. We have studs on defense. They're all young. We are just fine. And we got, absolutely. I agree with you, Andre. But again, if Savard is willing to be a seventh defenseman and play a leadership role and a mentorship role to some of the younger players, I think that that's a good spot for him. Kovacevic and Siegenthaler, number one pairing, shut down D's with 378 expected goals. Yeah, they're both playing fantastic hockey. I mean, I pointed out, long before Kovacevic was traded, he was the only defenseman. I believe he was the only defenseman that on the Montreal Canadiens last year that finished with a positive plus minus, and he was a plus 11. Right, so a team that was like negative. I think the Canadiens' goal differential last year was negative 50 something, 40 something, and he finished with a positive plus minus. I thought that Kovacevic still had value, but again, I get why they had to let him go. Pettersson will get 100 points again for sure, and is going to be a future Selke Award winner. Okay, Griffin, if you say so. It's not going to happen, but I'm not going to get into a big debate about it because I think it's a bit of a ridiculous opinion. 100 points a year in, year out. That's what I want, not a maybe. Who are we talking about? Patrick? Are we talking about Pettersson? I don't think Pettersson's a 100 points a year in and year out guy. If they were to trade one of them, it would be JT. He's older and Pettersson has the upside. Well, again, I think that the fact that Pettersson has the upside, I think that JT Miller is the better hockey player. Personally, the fact that Pettersson is younger and has the upside, I think, is probably the reason why he's the better. He obviously has the better trade value, right? So they get more in return for him because of all of that. But thank you for coming, Griffin. I appreciate it. I think you're new here. I haven't seen you here before. So if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Same goes for everybody else. If you're in here and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. The analytics say that only about 35 or 40% of the people who are watching the show are actually subscribed. So if you're watching live or in a replay, then if you subscribe, that would be really, really cool because not enough of you are subscribed. What's going on here with this background here? I got to get rid of this green background and do that. Boom. Wait for Slav to become an adult. Absolutely. Again, Mayu, Slav, these are all guys who people are making conclusions about long before they're ripe. Yeah. I don't know, Pila White. I don't know. Kovacevic had to go. Again, I'm not disagreeing that, I thought that he could have stayed and I thought that he had value on the team, but given where the Canadiens, defense was last year, I think he did have to go. Froggy, what's up? Knew he is an issue. He knocked off the puck too easily. You're absolutely wrong, Froggy. Sorry, man. I hate to disagree with you on your first comment here in the live, but you're completely wrong. Alex Newhook's a good hockey player. He has struggled through the first part of this year. Those struggles have sort of been exacerbated by the fact that his line mates have been shifted all over the place. He's not off the puck. He's not knocked off the puck very easily. He's a fantastic skater. He's great at retrieving the puck along the boards. Tonight, I thought he had a really, really good game. Unfortunately, he didn't get any bounces, and he had a bit of bad puck luck. But again, I think the signs are that he's moving in the right direction, and that we'll see him start to contribute a little bit more on the offensive side of things. I think his game has looked better for about 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. With Doc getting back on track, with Laine being back in the lineup on a regular basis, I think you're going to see him break out over the next little while. I think I think you might. I mean, as far as him not being a top 6 player on a contender, perhaps, but I don't think he's going to be asked to be a top 6 player on this team when they do become a contender. I think he can be a top 6 player on another team contender. I certainly think he could be a very good contributor on the third line because he does have a decent defensive game as well. He has a good two-way game. So I think when this team does become a contender, I think he probably does have a role on this team. Again, this team isn't a contender, right? So. And they're not expected to be a contender. So when they do become a contender, you're looking at having guys like Demidov. You're looking at guys like Michael Hage. You're looking at other guys up on that up in that top 6. You want to win a cup right now? You take JT Miller. Yeah, I mean if you're at the trade deadline and you want to add a guy with leadership, it sounds like he's a bit of a dick, but I think JT Miller is a guy that certainly has playoff experience. He's got a playoff style game. So thank you, Rain. I appreciate it. No, but you can come by anytime, man. Come by. I mean, I will definitely bone up on the Jets a little bit. I'm obviously a huge Nick Ehlers fan. I live in Halifax and watched Ehlers as a junior hockey player, and he was really, really fun to watch. But I used to follow the other teams and know a little bit more about the other teams a lot better than I do now. When I was over on TikTok doing lives over there, I would talk to people from different teams and knew a lot more about other teams. But unfortunately, My focus of late has been more so on the Canadiens, and my knowledge of the other teams has kind of fallen off a bit. So, and I also don't like talking about things that I don't know about. I will let you know if you ask me something I don't know. I'm not a big fan of people who pretend to know things about what they don't. Like you listen to Frank Saravelli and people ask him questions about the Seattle Kraken, and he pretends that he has some great in-depth knowledge about them when he really doesn't. I don't like pretending about things I don't know about. So Pettersson put on a defensive masterclass against the Leafs the other night. Okay, if you say so, man. Newhook is a baby. Okay, where's that coming from, Andre? What's your basis for calling Newhook a baby? I haven't seen anything like that. Sorry, I know you probably mostly want to talk about the Habs. I don't. I'll talk about anything, Griffin. Pettersson is not at least right now, not an above average defensive forward in the NHL. It's always bad puck luck with him. I don't know. Who are we? We're talking about Alex Newhook. Well, okay. Well, if you say so. But again, if you're not going to give players an opportunity to improve or to get better or to find their legs under them, then you're probably watching the wrong team, because this is a rebuild, Froggy, right? And there's a lot of young players on this team. There's a lot of players who are looking to find their way. If you're talking about the second line for the Montreal Canadiens, the lines, like the people who have played on that second line have been jumbled up all year long. It's only been in the last 2 or 3 weeks where there's been any level of consistency within that second line, as far as the same guys playing together game in and game out. And even then, Laine missed the 4 games with the flu. Again, if you are not able to recognize the skill and the talent and the potential that Alex Newhook has, I can't really help you with that, man. He's an extraordinary skater. He's one of the better skaters. He's probably the best skater on the team, frankly. Like I said, he's very good at retrieving pucks along the boards. You said earlier that he gets knocked off the puck very easily. He doesn't. You're completely wrong about that. And he does have a skill and a talent that will lend itself to him being a good contributor on the second line in the short term, and then potentially on the third line. Again, there's going to be a lot of competition for that role as things move forward with the rebuild, but there's certainly a spot for him on this team. Yeah, that's a potential, Mark. I don't know that that's a guarantee. It's a potential. I mean, if Demidov is able to step right into the lineup, then that's probably something you'll see. But again, a lot of things can happen between now and then. The Jets. I didn't even watch the game. Did the Jets blow out the Canucks tonight? All these guys are young. Maybe I'm too old. I saw Bobby Orr live. You should be very excited. Yeah, I am excited. Sure, he is, Froggy. Absolutely, he's an attractive bottom six guy. He brings a lot. He has a skill set that makes for a good third line center. Like I said, speed, good 2-way play. Wins battles on the boards. Not wins battles, but retrieves pucks on the boards. I have no problem. But again, there's going to be competition for that role, right? There, Kapanen's going to be there. Florian Jacki, Luke Tuck. Who else are we talking about? There's all kind. Hage. Again, Hage. Hage, if he's going to play on the third line, is going to have to be a very different hockey player than he is right now, right? Like Hage does not have the skill set to be a third liner right now. So the KNR show. What's the KNR show? Entertap? I don't know that. Do you do a show, Rain? Do you do a show, a Jets show? Marty saying that we praised Laine's defensive work tonight. Yeah, I agree, right? Like, so Laine is a guy. That's one of the reasons why I really think Laine is a good fit with this team. He, literally every single stereotype or every single, thing that people said about Laine, he appears to be different in Montreal, right? He's playing defense, he's skating, he appears to, be getting along. He's enjoying playing hockey, all this stuff, right? It's just, he's doing all kinds of great stuff that's, I don't want to say it's out of character for him, but it's out of character of the caricature that so many hockey fans built of him over the years. I'm sorry, but Pettersson is arguably just as good defensively as he is offensively. Oh, he's not. So, I mean, you can argue it, and you're entitled to your opinion. But, okay, if you say so. Will I be able to wake up at 5:30 this morning and open another wine bottle? Jeez, I don't know. Patrick. It's going to be a tough one. Not a better skater than Matheson or Suzuki. Maybe not Matheson, but he's a better skater than Suzuki. Sorry, man. Again, I'm not looking for arguments here tonight. I'm not looking to get in any big fights with people, but I'm just going to disagree with you on that, Froggy. I think that your opinion on Alex Newhook is short-sighted. It's, you're basing it upon a short, he was a very highly, what's the word I'm looking for? He was a high prospect with a lot of potential. Has he struggled a little bit this year? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that, especially, with production. But the skill set that he has is an exciting one, and I think that he's capable of doing good things. No need to debate Pettersson, Griffin. He's had his ups and downs. He's capable of being a decent defensive. Yeah, I'm not, again, Pettersson, he's capable of a lot of things. But again, part of my argument is based upon what I listened to from Mark Lazarus this morning. And Mark Lazarus' opinion was that every team in the NHL should be willing to unload their entire prospect pool to get Elias Pettersson. And, his argument was based on the fact that Elias Pettersson's a 106-point guy, and that therefore, unless you have a guy who's a prospect on your team or multiple prospects on your team, that if they're not 106-point players now, even if you think they might become that down the road, you need to dump them and try and get Pettersson. And I don't agree with that, because you're basing that on something that Pettersson's done in the past and hasn't demonstrated that he can repeat. So I wasn't too familiar with Laine's game, but I was surprised to see that he plays aggressive and hits quite a bit, and is back checking really hard. Didn't think he played that way. Yeah, and I think there's probably some reason for that, Mark. I think there's probably been times in his career where he hasn't played that well, but he's a big boy. He's a very big boy. What is he, 6'5"? Like he's the same size as, he's as big as anybody on the Montreal Canadiens. He's almost Slavkovsky's size, right? So, he's a big boy. He's been around. He knows what he's doing, and he's got a little bit of aggression in him. He's not afraid, and I think that because he's now in a situation where he gets along. I think a lot of that physical game comes from a desire to be part of the team, and to be to stand up for your teammates and be physical for your teammates, and play that role. There's a Kenny and Rennie show. Some guys that broadcast Sportsnet games and talk about the Jets games, post games. I've seen Entertap there. Great dude. Seems like you're building a nice community. Well, I'm trying, Rain. I'm trying my best. I just started here about a little over, 2.5 months ago now. We're trying to get people in here doing the shows on YouTube. We're trying to get people to join our Substack. That's a new thing right now. Hopefully people are getting the message and the word. Substack's going to be a great place, hopefully, where we can have chats between the games. Entertap is a mass consumer of hockey content. I do live shows with Entertap over on Habs Nation Live with Coach Frenchie. Actually, we were on the air both last night and the night before. So this is my third night in a row on the air. And Entertap's awesome. Yeah. Rainey is definitely above average defensively. Okay, well, you guys have that conversation amongst yourselves. Kapanen, Beck, Hagen, Demidov. To me, Beck is a fourth liner. Andre Kapanen is probably a good candidate for the third line, center line. Hage is probably, again, like I said, I think for me, Hage has to be, Hage's game will have to change if he wants to play in the bottom six. I do think he's capable of playing in the top six as well, especially if he, continues to develop the way he has. Demidov, I think, will be a top six player as well. Hockey fans and also some dinosaur hockey management people are putting wrong tags on players. Example, Dadonov, he's a workhorse, and many say he was lazy just based on wrong rumors. Dadonov happened to be a great pickup for. Yeah, he seems to be playing really well. He's on the first line for Las Vegas the other night, at least when the Canadiens played there. Not Las Vegas, Dallas. Sorry, he was in Vegas before Montreal. But yeah, no, again, he was dangerous against Montreal the other night. So yeah, sure. I think everybody has a lot to prove, Froggy, but he's still a young kid with a lot of potential and a really decent skill set. So I think everybody on the Canadiens has a lot to prove. So Kenny and Rennie, there we go. Sean Reynolds and Ken Wiebe. Is there any show on YouTube that you don't watch, Entertap? You're watching like Winnipeg Jets post-game shows now? I don't. You're wild, man. You're all over the place. I love it. Jake Evans played a great game tonight. Yeah, he played pretty good tonight. I agree, Andre. Yeah. I don't know that it was at the level. I think he's played better games this year, but I thought he played really, really well. Would I ever have guests on my show? Yeah, I will for sure, Mark. I don't know if I'll do guests on the Habs After Dark show, but like I said before, we're going to start doing a show called Habs. It's going to be called Habs Therapy Day, and it's going to be more of a, it's going to have specific topics as opposed to just being a post-game show. I will try and have guests on there. I went to law school with John Sedgwick, who is the assistant GM of the Montreal Canadiens. I think that would be an interesting guy to have on the show at some point. I think he's the assistant GM of the Canadiens, and he is the GM of the Laval Rockets. So I think he would have some really cool insight. I don't know if I'd be able to get him, but like I said, I do know him, and we have spoken, and it would be interesting to see if I could have him on here. Thanks, Rain. I also have a connection to Kent Hughes. Now, I don't think that I will be able to get him on the show, obviously, but I went to high school with Kent Hughes. Kent Hughes was 3 years ahead of me in high school, and his brother Ryan was a year ahead of me. Again, not that I would expect to get him on here, but no, I think there's been some cool people that I could get on here to talk about hockey. You want to be a Sabres insider, RDP? Okay. You will be our Buffalo Sabres insider. Jake Evans played only one bad game all year. Yeah. I mean, again, I'll take your word for it. I haven't gone back and looked at every single game, but yeah. Am I a lawyer? Are you asking me or are you telling me, Andre? Are you telling me I'm a lawyer or are you asking me if I'm a lawyer? Thanks, Entertap. I appreciate that. I often find myself getting into arguments with people about hockey and the Canadiens. And I've come to realize that it's because I put a lot of, like, how do I say this without coming off like a complete asshole? I put a lot of time and a lot of like thinking into my opinions when it comes to sports and when it comes to hockey and the Canadiens. And so I guess I get frustrated when people offer opinions. Obviously, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but when people express an opinion as if it's authoritative, when they haven't done any research or spent any time thinking about it or putting the time in, it kind of frustrates me. And I get that that's a flaw. That's my problem, and I can't expect everybody to, to have the same standard as I do. And I know I'm coming off as being a little bit obnoxious by saying this. But it's kind of like I find, and so the point I'm trying to make, Entertap, is that what I really like about being on the air with you and Entertap and Marco and Frenchie is that you guys are very similar to me in that you all put a ton of time into your hockey knowledge, and you express your opinions. Like, I'm a big fan of what I call informed opinions. having an opinion that's informed on, by the facts and the evidence and the research, and you've gone and, you've looked it up and you've figured out, you're not expressing an opinion because you read a headline on a Twitter, on a tweet. If you're going to say something, you've done it, you're saying it because you've thought about it, you've looked at it, you've considered it, and now you're ready to express it out to the world. So that's kind of where I am, and it's kind of why I love being on with Entertap and Marco and Coach Frenchie, is because it's finally a place where I can disagree with those guys, and they'll come back at me, but I know they're coming back at me from an informed place, right? And they don't get mad at me because they know that if I offer an opinion, I can sort of support it, and I can, give the information to back it up. So anyways, that's what I really like about Entertap. That's what I really like about Marco and Coach. Coach is like the hardest working guy in hockey YouTube, right? Like this guy's, he's on the other side of the world, so everything he's doing is at the reverse hour. So like he's getting up at 7 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning to watch Canadiens games. He's staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning to watch KHL games. He's on the air 4 or 5, times a week. He's out chasing cheese all night when he's not on the air. He's doing all this kind of stuff, and he's his Twitter. If you're not following him on Twitter, I hate Twitter, and I'm never going to convince him to leave Twitter and join Blue Sky. But I hate Twitter, and I don't go on Twitter hardly at all. And realistically, the only reason I go on Twitter is because of his account. The information that he provides on his Twitter account, if you're not following Coach Frenchie on every possible outlet, you're missing out big time. So, anyways, that's a rant. And by the way, the only pitch that you will ever see from me, Pila White, is my Elvis Presley pitch. I don't. The Elvis Presley pitch is all I would have to throw to you, and it's it's also known as the Blue Bayou pitch, because when I throw it, I blew it by you, and you wouldn't even see it. So not only would I mash anything that you threw towards me, I would throw you the Elvis Presley pitch, and every time it would be it blew by you. You wouldn't even see it. So, anyways, guys, I guess we'll get quickly. We'll do the report card here real quickly before we end the show. Again, it's not a clean sweep tonight. We have. They allowed 3 or fewer goals, right? 5-3 final. They scored more than 3 goals, so they get 2 check marks at the top. Special teams, I give them a failing grade. I believe they were 0 for. They allowed a power play goal, even though it was on a 5-on-3. They killed 5 of 6 power plays, but they scored none. So I'm not going to give them. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but not going to give them a passing grade on the special teams. Energy, effort, and engagement. Yes, I guess maybe you could argue that the first period they came out a little bit off, but again, I think the penalties had a lot to do with that. Progress, I think they're still moving in the right direction. They haven't stepped backwards, that's for sure. Pride, they came out and they won. They won despite having a lot going against them tonight. Discipline, again, I thought that the refereeing was absolutely horrendous tonight, and it's hard to blame them for some of their penalties. Obviously, Laine's penalty, was probably not a good penalty call, but he probably shouldn't have done it anyway. So I do give them a failing grade there, and they did play full 60 minutes when the referee allowed them to. So yeah, that's it. That's the report card. Do you agree? Am I stupid? Did I make the right calls? Let me know. Entertap, where was Suzuki tonight? I was DH, Devin. I only pitched. Okay, well. Anyways. Yes, Andre, I am in Halifax, so I am staying up late. It is now 2:49, 2:50. The clock just rolled over, so I'm only going to be on for a few more minutes here, guys. I'm going to end the show here shortly. Suzuki was +2. I'll let you guys have your chat amongst yourselves. They killed 5 of 6 power plays, but they got scored at the end of one, which just expired. I live in Halifax for 5 years. Okay. Beautiful city, Andre. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put my money on him to score. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be the end of the show. We've been on here for almost an hour and 45 minutes. I think that's going to be it. It is almost 3 o'clock in the morning, Halifax time, which is far too late for me to be up and on the air, even though I still do have a little tiny bit of my drink left. Can we get to 30 thumbs up, guys? We've got 22 thumbs up right now. We've got 13 people in the live or in the show. We've got a few people over here on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, come over to YouTube, Recliner Sports 4. We're doing a live show over here. If you want to ask questions, if you want me to answer your question, if you want to join the conversation, you need to come over here to the show on YouTube. If you are over here on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Like I said, only about 40% of the people who are watching the show are subscribed. If you're watching live, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. If you're watching in a replay, that's great too. I know not everybody can join the show in the middle of the night, especially tonight being 3 o'clock in the morning. But if you are watching a replay, feel free to hit that subscribe button. If you do enjoy the content, we'd love to have you here. We are going to start doing a more reasonably timed show called Habs Therapy Day. It'll probably be on sort of in the evening, and it will focus on specific topics related to the Canadiens and to the NHL. We're going to start doing that, but we are trying to grow our community. Once we get to a certain number of subscribers, we'll be able to do a lot more cool stuff here on the show. I think we're around 260 now. We need to get to 500. That's the next goal. So if you are here and you're not subscribed, please do so. And if you haven't hit the thumbs up button yet, get her done. So Gary says, Gary's new. Well, Gary's not new, but this is, I think, your first comment of the night, Gary. Suzuki going to the office with a few beer to celebrate how the kids are playing. I don't know if Suzuki's going to the office if you're referring to going to the office in the Coach Frenchie way. Cheers to you, Andre. Cheers to you, Entertap. Thank you very much, pal. I appreciate it, Entertap. I don't know if I'm going to see you on the air until probably the weekend. I think that Marco is going to be on for the rest of the week with Coach. But it's great talking to you as always. Cheers, Patrick. This is the right hole. Well, that's okay, man. That's okay, man. You can throw whatever you want. I can hit anything. You throw it, I'll hit it. I'll bring my bat onto the show. I'll bring my bat. You want me to show you the bat that I'm going to hit a home run off you with, Patrick? Give me a second. Stand by. Which bat should I hit a home run off you with, Patrick? Let's see. I got a few of my bats here. I got more back there, but these are the ones that I got out here. So I got the old hickory. I could hit a home run off you with the old hickory. The Mike Trout bat. You can see all the marks on that one. What else we got here? We got this is the brand new one. This one I haven't really hit with yet. I could hit a home run off you with that. Oop, off that one. This is I use this one quite a bit. This is the custom one. This has got my name on it. I could hit a home run off you with that one. Sam bat, based in Ottawa. A little bit of pine tar on it. So, anyways, any one of those three will hit a home run off you, Patrick. So, it's all good. It's all good. So, anyways, anytime you want to come to Halifax, anytime you want to throw pitches to me, I'm right here. I'm ready to go, man. So, anyways, that's all for tonight, guys. Enough of the funky talk. We have a 5-3 victory for the Montreal Canadiens. They beat the Utah Hockey Club. We have goals coming from... Who do we have goals coming from? We have goals from... 2 from Kirby Dach. I know that much. Mike Matheson, Patrick Laine, Kirby Dach, Cole Caulfield, and Kirby Dach again. The Canadiens now, where are they in the standings, guys? Let's see where they are in the standings after all of this. They are currently 2 points out of a wild card. They have 46 points. Their record is now 21-18-4 for 46 points, a .535 point percentage. They now have a goal differential of -12, right? So they're climbing closer and closer to that even number, to the point where they can have as many goals against as they do for. They are 7-2-1 in their last 10, and they're looking good, guys. The Bruins and the Columbus Blue Jackets are currently in the 2 wildcard spots in the Eastern Conference. The Canadiens are 1 point behind the Senators with the same number of games played. They're 2 points behind the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets have the Canadiens have 1 game in hand on the Blue Jackets, and they have 3 games in hand on the Boston Bruins. So things are looking good. The playoffs are not the be-all and end-all for this team. They are rebuilding. The fact that they're even in this conversation right now is what really matters. And I'll get the bat back out for Patrick to watch while we end the show. That's about all she wrote. 5-3 Canadiens. Another great game for the Habs. They're still on the right track. They're on the road for one more game in Dallas on Thursday night. Then they head back to Montreal for a game against the lovely Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night. So thank you very much for coming, guys. I really do appreciate it. I am kind of running out of gas here. It is 2:58 in the morning, Halifax time. So I am going to end the show. I do appreciate all of you for coming. I'm not going to go back through all of the comments and mention everybody's names, but those of you who did come, thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for supporting the show. It really is appreciated. It is something that I certainly do appreciate, the fact that you guys are willing to come on here and listen to me talk after a Canadiens game like this. It is really appreciated, and I really hope that we will be able to grow our community into something a little bit bigger and a little bit a little bit more comprehensive, like where we, like I said, where we can talk between the shows and between the games and all of that good stuff. So that's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. This is Habs After Dark. My name is Devin. The channel is called Recliner Sports. And I appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, and keep your head up, Patrick. I'm coming for you.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, Dach to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.